Hey there everyone, welcome back to my channel. So we've been doing some crochet things this past week. My kiddo requested a hammock for their squishmallows, for some of them, to hang up in the corner of the room, and you can see I'm actually using two different yarns for this one. I wanted to share what I was doing. This was just some leftover yarn that we had. They wanted the rainbow color. I added the blue in there to beef it up a little bit because the yarn itself was pretty light. And here you can see the finished product. Super cute, very adorable, lovely. And so I thought this would be fun to add into my room as well. So I decided to make one for me, and I'm going to take you through that tutorial now. So I watched several videos and found a pattern and was very confused, and I am not criticizing anybody by any means. I think it's just how my brain works. So it just took me a minute to decipher. And I think the trickiest part was the little V shape that you get at the very beginning, trying to understand what people were doing with that. So I wrote things down in my brain language so that I would remember how to do this and share it with you guys. So let's get into it. So you can really use any weight of yarn that you want to. You can, like, obviously if you use a really chunky yarn, it's gonna take less time. You'll get a bulkier end result. And like I showed you before, the one I did for my kid, I actually combined two yarns because it was so thin, and I wanted to make sure it was gonna be sturdy enough, and also I just didn't want it to be too wispy. So this was the one that I chose at Michael's. It's Wool Ease by Lion Brand, and it is a 4-weight yarn, acrylic and wool, and I'm using a 6mm crochet hook. So I really just liked the color, but I also think it has a nice weight to it for this. So that is what I'm going to use. And, you know, still, I love this because if it gets a little dusty in the corner, you just pull it down, wash it, and you're good to go. So as always, when we're crocheting, we're going to start with our starting loop, our slip knot. You're going to put that yarn over your palm, wrap it up and behind, grab hold, lift that front up just a little bit, put that crochet hook underneath that top one, and pull that out, and voila. So that's our little slip knot to start with. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a loop, and this can be tricky the first couple times you do it because you're not sure what you're looking at. That's been my experience. So if you get frustrated, don't give up, just try again until you get the hang of it. But to create that loop, we're going to chain 4. So yarn over, pull through, that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're going to have our tiny little chain. And now what we're going to do to create our loop is we're going to go right back into that very first loop, that very first stitch, and we're going to do a slip stitch. So we're not yarning over, we're just going to go into that space. Then we're going to yarn over, pull it through, lift it up a little so you see what you're doing, and then continue to pull that through, and that's our slip stitch. And so then we're going to pull that little tail to the back so it's easier to not get distracted, and then you have this little space in between. That's our loop that we're going to start working in. So now we're going to chain 2, so just yarn over, that's 1, yarn over, and 2, and now we're going to double crochet into the loop, right into here. So we're going to go into here, so double crochet, we're going to yarn over, go into the loop, yarn over again, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through the next 2. So if you don't have a lot of experience with double crochet, I would do a little chain first and practice the double crochet first, just so that it doesn't feel confusing if this is all very new to you. So once you have your double crochet, you're going to chain 1, just like that. And then we're going to double crochet back into the loop again. So yarn over, into the loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and this time we're going to chain 2. So 1 and 2. So this is the part where I got a little bit confused on a couple of the videos I watched. And I think, again, it was just the way they were explaining it. It took me a minute to kind of translate that into my brain. So now you see we have 2 loops in here. We have 2 spaces. So what we're going to do is turn this around. Okay, so now what we're doing is this is our top space and this is the bottom space. We're just going to talk about that way. So we're going to double crochet into the top loop. So yarn over, into the loop, in through 2 and through 2, and we're going to chain 1. And then we're going to do the same thing again in the same space. So double crochet into that same space, that same loop, and chain 1. Now here's where it got tricky for me, because you'll notice, you see this little sneaky guy right here? We actually have 3 spaces. So we're going to work into this guy next, and we're going to do double crochets as well. So this is where I was confused, because I was like, well, where's this little bump coming from? So this is actually, we've created another space here. So now we're going to double crochet into this little space right here. So yarn over, into the space, yarn over, pull through 2, chain 1, same thing in the same space, double crochet into the same space and chain 1. Okay, so whoops, let's hold it where it was. So now you can see where we're starting to kind of get a little bit of a fan shape. Let me move that so it's easier to see. So now we did our chain 1, we're going to chain 2 more, 1, 2, and we're going to turn. Okay, so now you see where we're starting to have a little bit of that V shape, and this is where it took me a hot minute to understand what was happening with this. Let me loosen up some yarn here. So now we've turned, and we're going to, this is where you'll start feeling the pattern a little bit. We're going to double crochet into this space right here. So double crochet and chain 1, and then we're going to double crochet in that space again. So double crochet and chain 1. Okay, so now in the next space we're going to just do 1 double crochet right here. So yarn over, double crochet into that space and chain 1. Into the next space, 1 double crochet. So double crochet into that space and chain 1. Okay, now we have this last space here. We're going to do 2 double crochets into that space. So double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet, chain 1 into that same space again, chain 1. Okay, so now you start seeing that little V shape. So now you can see where this is going to be our corner that goes into the corner, and then we're just basically, as we go down the rest of the rows, we're just increasing as we go. So now we're just going to keep increasing this into a great big triangle. So now here we've done our chain 1, we're going to chain 2 more. So 1, 2, we're going to turn, and we're going to repeat this pattern until we get where we want to be. Let me tighten this little guy up a little bit. All right, so 2 double crochets on the end. Okay, 2 double crochets. So 1 double crochet, chain 1. You always chain 1 after your double crochet. Get some yarn. And then another double crochet in the same space. And chain 1. And then single double crochet. That sounds confusing, doesn't it? 1 double crochet, chain 1. 1 double crochet, chain 1. All the way down until your last space. Chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, And then in our very last space here, now this little guy can want to hide a little bit. See, when it gets nice and it can want to hide a little. So we're going to make sure we're in that loop. So double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet. And then the way I just started thinking about this on the end was to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, it's just easier for my brain to work with. And then you turn and do the same thing all the way down the row. And basically, this is the pattern, and you're just going to keep doing that until it is the size that you want. So I think the fun thing about this is that it is a very simple pattern once you get that first little bit figured out. And you can really make this any size that you want to. You can make it pretty large for, you know, stuffies to put in a corner, depending on the yarn that you use. If you use like a heavier yarn, like a really thick jumbo and heavy weighted yarn, you could even use it to stack maybe books or something, or towels, like any kind of storage. I thought about making a little one to use in my bathroom for washcloths, but then I realized my bathroom is shaped really funny. And so I don't actually have any corners that I could put it in. So just get creative with it. Think about like what you could use it for. And it's just, I think it's just cute. I think it's just super cute, super simple, and just kind of a nice project to do to fill time, to have something handmade in your space. So I'm going to keep working on this, and I will meet you back once we have the size that I'm looking for, and I'll show you guys how to close everything off. And I think I'm going to put rings on this one as well, so I'll show you how to get the rings on there to hang it in the corner. So I am on my very last stitch. I'm just going to do the just a chain 1 just to kind of finish that up. This is about how much yarn I have left, and I'm going to use this to attach the hoops to the end. So I wanted to show you how I'm going to. So I got these, just these little wooden hoops from Michael's, also from Hoops and Threads. So I've got one here from the other pack that I already opened, and here's what we're going to do. Crochet hook right here. We're going to single crochet. We're going to put the yarn behind the hoop, and we're just going to loop the yarn through on the first try. So we're just going to yarn over and pull it right through that last stitch that we made. So now I'm just going to keep working in the same stitch right here. So I'm going into this stitch. Let me see if I can clear into the, not into the loop, but into the stitch. I guess you could work into the loop. Maybe we should work into the loop. Let's work into the loop. I changed my mind. So we're going to work into the loop. Okay, pulling it through, and then we're going to yarn over, lift it up, and then yarn over and back through. So just a really simple single crochet. So again, back through the loop, yarn over, pull it back through. Might want to lift it a little to keep it looser. Yarn over and pull through. So let's see, that's 3. I think I'm going to do maybe one more just to make sure it's nice and secure. So through my loop, yarn over, lift it up, and just keeping that yarn behind the hoop, and boom. So now to finish this, I'm just going to yarn over, pull it through. Let me find a pair of scissors here. Voila. And I'm just going to keep pulling that through. And then we've got our hoop attached, and I'm going to just take a needle, and I'm going to work that in here. And then for the other edges, so for this one, we've already got one started. This was the beginning, the very first tail we made. And I'm just going to tie this together, keep it simple, and do the same thing. On this corner, I'm just going to take a nice long piece of yarn, and I'm just going, well, once I cut it off of here, and I'm going to loop it through here and get started on that. So let's finish it up and see how she looks. So here is my finished hammock hanging up on the wall. It's just enough for these 2 cuties. Yes, I have a couple of squishmallows in my room because I'm just a big kid. Why not? So one thing I would say, I put these on these hooks that I put in the wall. And I would just say definitely start with the back one first. Okay, and then I actually found that hanging the other two up a little bit higher kind of helped this to be a little bit more secure. So let me take these out so you can see kind of what that looks like without anybody in it. Something else I thought about as an afterthought. I think if you took like your very last couple of rows right here, I wish I thought about it sooner, and did just single crochets across, I think what it would do is kind of give it a little bit of like a little bit of an edge, a little bit of a lip that would start to turn up. So if anybody decides to try that, so then you would have it kind of turn up just a little bit on the front. And I think I had thought about that and meant to do it and then kind of forgot. So if anybody does decide to try to do that, like just a couple of rows of single crochet, it'll just create like a little bit of a bend or a curve. Let me know. Let me know if you do try to do that. Oh, doing these things one-handed doesn't always work so well. Okay, there we go. So there we have it. So I think it's just really cute and fun, and you can make it any size that you want. I see the difference. This is obviously a little bit looser than the one I did for my kiddo with the thinner yarn and doubled up. It made a little bit of a tighter weave. So that's just something to keep in mind. Of course, if you use a jumbo yarn, that's going to make a nice large weave too. So, all right, let me know, you guys, if you try this, if you have any questions, and thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye.